Welcome to the TDC Today Show communities. My name is Sue Roskopf. The Disability Channel is out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, showcasing abilities. TDC provides digital media production, education, and employment programs by and for persons with disabilities and veterans. It's through media, training, and community partnerships that we create opportunities where inclusion happens. And truly, we make a difference for everybody. Joining me today is my co-host, Michael Martin Hummel, a writer, speaker, and podcaster dedicated to bridging the gap between disabled and able-bodied communities. Michael, how you doing today?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Oh my gosh, it has been an interesting evening so far. I'm excited to continue a conversation that we got going here. I am actually going to go ahead before we start because I think we're already kind of on the same page, but I want to bring Kurt in right away to be part of this conversation. So Kurt, I'm gonna hop you in as well. First up, Michael, I want to give you a moment so that you can share with us what is coming up in 10 days from now.
Uh, on May 30th, I'm having my Stories of Diversity event where I have speakers talking about a certain theme, and this month's theme is autism.
Excellent. So this is coming up again in just 10 days from now. So
Yeah,
May 30th, 2026, depending on when you're watching this. May 30th is when the next Stories of Diversity is taking place. And if people want to hop in that Zoom, what is the best way to find that information?
probably by emailing me at michaelhummel@wilsonwarriors.com.
Perfect. So Michael Hummel at Wheels N Warriors. So Wheels, the letter N Warriors.com. Send out an email his way and you can get that Zoom link and join that conversation. And you can be a fly on the wall and listen in, learn. You can participate. I know you have amazing people that join you and really share, really give of themselves. And that kind of leads us into that topic to be seen, felt, heard, and understood. And that is a phrase that
Mm.
concept is something I learned from you. So can you give us a little insight on where that all started?
I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's a business coach, and I was trying to figure out where my lane was as far as who I wanted to help and how, and that phrase "seen, heard, felt, and understood" just came up and was very prevalent, and it made me realize that is what I'm supposed to be doing, because I oftentimes will not be seen, heard, felt, and understood, and you just get your voice gets shut quieted up, and you feel like you're invisible, and that is something that I was trying to change for different people.
And is that kind of where the stories of diversity and having that created, that all kind of came from that whole concept, right? To be seen,
Yeah.
felt,
Yeah.
heard, understood.
Yeah.
So, and part of why I wanted to talk to you about this was uh, something that I experienced yesterday.
Mhm.
I have a whole new appreciation again. It's like so one of those things. It's like you think you know what that's like. You think you know what you're talking about, and I ended up, I'm keeping this generic because for all sorts of reasons. I'm going to keep this very generic, but I'm going to do my best to kind of describe why I'm saying that I have a different appreciation for this being seen, felt, heard, and understood based on something that I experienced yesterday. So I was invited to be part of a group
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a subgroup of a really big group, like really big. And there's lots of different aspects of um of this big group, and people were picked from amongst that group to be part of this smaller group to help kind of come up with a direction for the bigger group. So we're trying to come up with some ideas to help kind of steer the ship of where this really big group is headed. And people were picked to be on the smaller committee because of who they are amongst this big group, kind of trying to represent all areas in the best way possible, and trying to come from different angles. So I was picked because of my particular role within this bigger group. Try to stick with me here. I know I'm trying to keep it generic, but we had our first big meeting yesterday where we're all supposed to be putting our ideas out there and represent kind of what we know and bring to this group what we know and what our experience has been so that we can help shape what this all is.
Yeah.
In the course of that whole meeting, it happened multiple times where somebody, at least they noticed that I hadn't said anything yet. There's people in the group that are now. I'm gonna back up for a second. Everything that happened in that meeting was amazing. People brought forward lots of ideas, lots of good stuff, all sorts of great pieces happened,
Mm-hmm.
but none of it came from me. Not a bit, because I did not get a chance to talk. There's one other person that was there that was seeing that, and multiple times, actually a couple of twice tried to redirect what was being said and bring me into that part of the conversation because it would have been appropriate for me to make comments, and I still didn't get a chance to talk. And
Yeah.
then it was even called forward at two different points. So I guess it was noticed that I hadn't talked yet, because it's like I don't feel like I should have to raise my hand or overspeak somebody. It's like I'm waiting my turn. And it was proposed like I would have a turn more than once, and then
Mm-hmm.
I still never had a turn. And I walked out of that meeting actually pretty upset.
Mm-hmm.
It was the concept. What was kept going through my head was what I hear from you: to be seen, felt, heard, and understood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I sort of was seen, but not really. Because actually, if you would go back and ask that group of people what is my name and why am I at this meeting, a couple of them I know would know the answer, would understand. But I would bet that there's people at that table who don't even know who I am. And a big chunk of the conversation was centered around community and connection and all these great concepts that I am 100% behind. But to be seen, to be felt, to be heard, to be understood, it was I found it to be a very odd experience, the way that all came together yesterday. And
Mm-hmm.
again, what you talk about and proclaim really hit home, and in a way that I didn't see coming. And okay, so enough of my backstory here. Kurt, I'm wondering if you want to be coming into this conversation here too, because I know with a lot of experiences you've had over time of and observed and whatnot, I'm curious what thoughts you might have with this whole concept of being seen, felt, heard, understood in the greater picture here. So, actually, Michael, if you want to speak to it first, or Kurt, you guys can arm wrestle.
Well, I think everyone gets at least superficially seen, but it doesn't it there is a limit to how much someone can be seen, heard, felt, and understood, because you can be seen and not say a word, and you can be seen and the other people not understand anything about you. So yeah, there's a lot that can be missing from an interaction like that.
Yeah, because people at the table, as they were talking, looked me in the eye, and I'm sitting there smiling because I like what I'm hearing. But yeah, because I know you had shared, like when you would there, you've had the experience of going to a doctor's office, and what you want to share what that all was like.
There's been times when I've gone to a doctor's office, or basically really any office setting, and if I'm with someone else, the person who is running the office section of it basically ignores me. They look at the other person, they interact with the other person, and they assume I can't make decisions for myself. So it makes you feel very dismissed and invisible and unworthy.
And nobody should have to feel that way. It's
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, I, I gotta say, I believe, at least for some people, some experiences like that, it's a lack of experience from on the other person, right? That
yeah,
they haven't met somebody in a wheelchair, perhaps,
yeah.
or whatever that might be. That it's a new experience for them, and they don't know how to what to do.
Yeah.
They,
Some people don't know the protocol, and it's a weird word to use, because you should ultimately just be a human, and whether you feel a certain way or not, speak to the person and see what happens.
you don't know if you don't try, right?
Yeah.
Well, Kurt, I'm gonna ask if you want to come on in and add some commentary. I'd love to hear what your thoughts.
Well, I'm going to come in here in fashion to keep kind of building on this show and closing it out with a little growth element here. So you two are co-hosting, this show, and so I'm going to kind of poke out at Emily there. Emily's kind of in the background a little bit now, but hopefully she'll come forward and maybe she and I will co-host co-host here to support you two co-hosting. So, but I want to bring up Emily's name because she brings to us what she's a part of in a planning committee with integralautism.org. And when you go to that site, it's describing an event, an annual event, and integral is an acronym: interactive networking, talks, and education for growing autism legitimacy. The first time I read that and realized what the acronym is, that is really heavy. I
Mm-hmm.
really would like to see every person on the planet go to this website and reflect on what is going on here. To actually have two people get together and to say that we need to do this thing to fight for legitimacy of people with autism, that is really profound. And I think it comes
Yeah.
right into the bowels of what we're talking about here. So the idea is what to do about this,
Uh-huh.
and really, the Roskopfs are here to say that we had a crossroads, a dozen years ago, to say, okay, a gentleman with disability came out to water ski in a water ski show. A couple of our friends said, ain't gonna happen, using authority of president and board member, role and speaking for, 100 people, exercising this, you know, self self-declared authority. And so this gentleman went home dry, and the only one who apologized was Sue here. Sue was the only one that apologized that this guy went home dry. And and when I told his story months later, the first time he heard me tell his story about what happened that night, oh my goodness, this is a gentleman with quadriplegia, cerebral palsy, a Paul wheelchair user, and I could have swore that guy was going to get right up out of his seat and start walking down the road to blow off some steam. you know,
He was
uh,
upset.
yeah, so again, what to do about this? This is where, like, with this community show here right now, my checklist is, the six-cylinder engine approach to work this with full power. And the first cylinder is to take a look at faith communities. So to look at the legitimacy and to be, seen, heard, understood, all these elements. How are we doing in that community? How are we doing in the volunteer community, nonprofit community? How are we doing in the educational community? And how are we doing in the government realm? Now, for sure, there are agencies that are really dialed into this conversation and really showing the way and the example. But how are we doing in all departments of government? Like earlier today, I was on the open mind as I typically do, and I was on with a professional by the name of Jermaine Sean Smith, and he was the presenter for the open mind, executive director, Southern Queens Park Association. The 50-year view, leading institutions built to outlast you. So just think of, Sue, your opportunity to say what we're doing here. Will the work of the Today Show communities outlast you, Sue? Michael, will what you do co-hosting here, will the work here and what you're describing on your show, is the work you do, Michael, is it going to
Mhm.
outlast you? With me, with Emily, and all of you out there watching and listening. What a proposition. And, this guy is involved in parks, the Southern Queens Park Association Incorporated. And wow, what the history. There's stories he told, and, a lot of things in the racial equity space to really challenge, what the history has been out there in Queens, New York, and Jamaica, New York, and all those
Mhm.
areas out there, really resembling some trials and tribulations that our country has been going through, and even today, still carrying on. And I learned in national disability advocacy about the intersection between disability advocacy, racial equity, the concerns of the LGBTQ plus community, and you can go on and on, the Jewish community, all these
Mhm.
communities, minority groups, and the disability community is the largest minority group, represents the largest minority group. So the power of disability advocacy, I learned that a decade ago. And so the idea is that with this six-cylinder engine, I gave you five, give me five, we're all doing five. But then what is the sixth one? And the sixth one is a little bit of what I was describing, but I want to state it more explicitly, like the water skiing. I use that round to say what's fun gets done. So the fun cylinder, the fun piston in the six-cylinder engine, includes the idea of when you work to live, what's living it to you? So, Michael, what's living it
Mhm.
to you? Sue, what's living it to you? Obviously, doing some water skiing. Emily, what's living it to you? Maybe doing this conference thing, as part of living it to Emily Gomer. And to me, through this element, I profess that we are the Make a Wish Foundation for everyone. Oh, what a concept, you know? and to build this world where everybody can do what they love and leave the rest to everyone else, because there's 8 billion people on the planet. If we team up and we fix this human family, if we heal as a human family, if we grow and we become more functional as a human family. Earlier today, I was in a meeting where I told the leadership, we're in this nonsense right now, war. 2026, we're executing war. Like, what is going on with the lack of evolution of humankind? We're at war. Are you kidding me? What's going on, folks? And what's the secret to peace building? I say a gentleman that I was on with 9 years ago with a Dis Films conference call, and which attracts people internationally a little bit. But this gentleman was on there. The business that needed to be done in the meeting was done. So he was talking a little bit and he got a little tongue in cheek a little bit. He said, people out there just don't realize that people with disabilities are taking over the world. And that was a two-sided comment. It was a little bit for humor, but it was a little bit of, no, it's real. People with disabilities are taking over the world. What a mantra. And I think there's leadership in that. That is leading an institution to be built out last year. I think that guy said something that is a guiding point, that if we can instill that into the planet, that a lot of our world's problems would dissolve. Like, maybe world peace would be achievable if we empowered all the people on the planet that are people with disabilities. Maybe the business of this world would be done better. What a concept, eh? And maybe through the disability community, we empower all minority groups. And we do a little bit of what I was taught about U.S. history, about being a melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
And what about we look at the world as one big giant melting pot right now, with all of our technology, being able to be on Zoom, talk to people from every continent on the planet. We have so much we can do. So the challenge I give to you, Michael, and to you, Sue, and to you, Emily, and for you all to hold me accountable to, and for all of you out there watching and listening, let's hold each other accountable. When we have these pains, when we have these struggles, when we are on our soapbox and we're talking about all this, are we facilitating, leading the change needed that'll outlast ourselves? It's like Emily and I are part of a group called Humans United in Mutual Aid Networks. And when I met them 10 and a half years ago, I said, this group is so great. You know why? Because before I met this group, so prior to 10 and a half years ago, if I would go into a bar or a tavern and people are having a beer, having a mixer, having a cocktail, whatever, and they're going around and they're talking religion and politics and talking sports or whatever it is, and bitching and moaning, complaining and all the stuff, I would leave that place and be like, my goodness, with what all just went on in that place, that pub, that tavern, that bar, do people wake up the next morning and do a darn thing about it? I don't think so. And I told Humans United Mutual Aid Networks, you guys are fantastic because you're actually doing something all day long, every day, to
Mm-hmm.
move the needle on how this group works and to make things more economically equitable. Fantastic. So I'm sold out to the group. I'm a life member. Humans United Mutual Aid Networks. Check it out, mutualaidnetwork.org. There are groups
Mm-hmm.
like this right now. Sue and Michael, you don't even share with the group that we're on the Spirit of the Game Foundation Zoom. Think of the collaboration coming at you right now through the Today Show communities and the power of one. For all of you out there watching, listening, I believe in you. And I think you out there watching, listening can make a change and lead institutions and lead groups and lead the people around you that otherwise are just bickering, bitching, and moaning, and that you can show them how you're leading a way that will outlive you, and you'll attract people to do it, and you'll make change to make sure that other people are seen, heard, and understood. Let's do it, everybody. Back to you, Sue.
This this is too important of a piece in our world. We all want to be seen, felt, heard, understood.
Yeah.
We all have that in us. We all need that.
Mhm.
My challenge to everybody is to not only have that be true for yourself, that you know how much you need that, I know how much I need that. Pay attention to the people around you and make that extra effort. If it shouldn't be extra, but now that you're thinking about it, make that extra effort to make sure that all the people around are being seen, felt, heard, and understood. Can you imagine the difference in attitude, in posture, in all the things with all of us if we all were in that space where we know and we feel that we are being seen, felt, heard, and understood. And
Mhm.
oh, great timing. Emily, I'm glad you're joining us. I wonder if I'm assuming you've been hearing what's all been talked about here. You want to go ahead and make any comments?
Um, thank you, Karen, for promoting the conference. But so it's like you were telling me earlier about being bold. You're supposed to be bold about who you are, what you do, what you have to say, and whatever. Or being confident. I don't know. That is irrelevant to what we were talking about, but I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, to know that it's okay to put yourself out there a little bit. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to get out there and do things, but it's worth it. Because I mean, it's like asking somebody a question. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Then you might get a no instead of a yes. You're still fine. It's all good. We all need to have that confidence to move forward. And again, what you were saying about the word legitimacy, that does hit too, doesn't it? So with Emily, with what you're doing with the conference, do you want to talk about the conference just a little bit? Give a little plug for that. Is there a date set?
Yes. Uh, this year it will be November 7th, which is, I believe, the first Saturday in November, at the Goodman Community Center in Madison. And it is a hybrid event, so we'll have in person, but then Zoom connect there too. So anybody who isn't in the area or wanna able to travel to the area, whatever, then that works too. So um and we have a website, integralautism.org. Um so stay tuned for more details.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. And I think it's amazing that this conference is available and happening. And I appreciate what you're all doing to make that happen. And speaking of websites, there's one more I want to make sure to share out there. Specialneeds.help. Specialneeds.help is a new website. It's actually a month old now. It is put together by Helpopedia. And I know Kurt, Emily, you guys have both been very involved with Helpopedia and the amazing things that they're all doing and providing. And this particular website, specialneeds.help, there is so much information and value available there. Go check it out. I challenge you to I challenge you to go there and not be amazed and find information that you will enjoy taking in. Oh, there's so much there. So please share that out. That needs to be out there where people can find it and know that it exists because it is that good, that much information. So it gives you a starting place. It gives you information. It gives you all the things that a person needs when they find themselves looking for information about you name it, specialneeds.help. So please go check that out. And there is going to be a telethon coming up. So here's put this on your calendar piece. July 23rd. Mark your calendar for July 23rd. Helpopedia will be having a telethon. There will be more information coming, but I want to make sure that that is known. And actually, Kurt or Emily, if you have any more detail you want to share now, now's your chance. I just want to make sure that that is available and people are going to mark that calendar date so they can tune in. Emily, go ahead.
Well, I think we're gonna be, well, you can add any more, but me featuring the special needs directory that Sue was just talking about. I believe we're also going to feature Americans got with disabilities got talent. So if you have
That's going to be so much fun.
any particular talent you want to come on and showcase, let us know. Um, I believe if I can make it to Pewaukee, there may be a few minutes of seeing a water ski show. And I'm sure among other things. But Kurt, do you have anything else you want to add? And
Yeah,
we're
I
looking to
want to
raise
bring
like
a
36,000 pounds.
challenge to both you and Michael. Michael, with your circles, with your podcast show, see if you can find Americans with disabilities who have talent, whether it's pottery, visual art, paintings, whether it's singing or playing an instrument, doing wheelchair dancing or any sort of dancing. Whatever
Okay.
talents people have, let's bring them in and have them be ambassadors to something as well. Make it a publicity opportunity for a disability service organization or what have you. And Emily, with the Autism Society and so forth, and with your Integral Autism Conference, you know, um, let's have somebody from the Reaches there and come on in and have it be a publicity piece. Have somebody being an ambassador after we're done enjoying their talents that they've come forth through the Autism Society or Integral, you know, what is it? Integral Adult and Supporters Conference or something like that. You guys have the
Yeah,
supporter thing.
autistic adults and allies.
Allies. There you go. Yeah. So let's make that happen. And so yeah, it's a real opportunity to celebrate 36 years of the American Disabilities Act in a crusade to raise $36,000. And if there's any other individuals that want to be a part of the planning and formation of that, co-creating it, and any other nonprofit groups, government agencies, disability ministries, groups where people with disabilities are volunteering, which should be every volunteer group, but however we want to go about that, and educational groups like Sue, you work at Carroll University. Maybe we can have some Carroll University participation, whatever, maybe, and all the fun things you do. Let's bring in some fun and make it an eventful night on Thursday, July 23rd between 7 and 9 Eastern.
Excellent.
So, and another thing I want to get in here is with this show, what I'm proposing to this group right now is the Today Show communities. I want to create a tagline where you are seen, heard, felt, and understood. Whatever the exact jargon is, the order of the words
Yeah.
there. Your place to be seen, heard, felt, and understood.
I always say seen, heard, felt, and understood, but it can really be any order.
Excellent.
It's just what's more comfortable for you.
That's
Yeah,
perfect. To add that as a tagline is, if it's okay with you, Michael, I would love that.
Of course.
Awesome. All
yeah, and
right.
then Emily, maybe you can work your AI magic and come up with the Today Show communities with that tagline in there, and have some sort of a graphic about the show available every Wednesday. Because we don't have any guests, people. Come on in here. Do you not know how to be a guest on the show? Meeting ID 404-058-6152 on Zoom. Come on in, folks. Come
I
on,
think
team. Let's teach the
people,
world how to be in there. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and we got 0 guests. Do we want to lead this show to outlive ourselves or not? Come on, Emily, Michael, Sue. Let's do it
I
together.
think we have I think we have a couple people coming up, but yeah, for tonight, yeah. But we'd like to have our schedule full though.
Excellent. All right. And on that note, I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope my goal, anybody who is here in this room with us, will be seen, felt, heard, understood. Come and share. That's what community is all about. And here with the Today Show community,